Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Hoops Lounge Hangout. This week, it's with myself, Mr. Phil, Sporting Phil on Twitter and Facebook, and with my co-host, Mr. Mota.
Hey guys, I'm ready to battle today with Sporting Phil. Get ready.
Exactly. For all you guys who've been a big fan of In the Post with Mota and I, this is actually going to be one giant show of this because our third host, Mr. Mark Griffin, aka Montreal Mark, is in Toronto covering the Toronto Raptors Golden State game, and also he's going to be writing some great articles coming up for his Naismith moment. He has an interview with Jerome JYD, the Junkyard Dog, and Justin Action Jackson. So he's checking out a lot of good stuff. So we're bringing you basketball info from many cities all over the place. But for today's show, what we're talking about is the elite point guards in the league. People have said that this is a point guard league. I would say more it's a scoring guard league. But, you know, who's the number one? Who's the cream of the crop? We've seen a lot of guys rise and a lot of guys come in through the draft. A lot of guys go down with injury. So we want to kick this off. First of all, I just want you to name, Mr. Mota, your top four point guards as you see it, and then we'll start breaking it down. Like who in your mind right now, this season, injuries included and everything, are your top four?
Actually, I would like to first of all for our friends to realize the discussion that we had before starting the show, and you discussing, okay, should we include injuries and should we not include injuries? And what we're about to do today is we're gonna list the ones that are active. I'm not going to take into account someone who played just 2 games and we know that he's a great player, but no, I'm not going to take that into account. So let's just take whoever's playing on a regular basis and whoever is doing amazing stuff. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, you will know who are my top 2 actually, and then the last 2. So, and I'm pretty sure that Phil can name the 2. So I'll let him guess my first pick.
Well, I think former Mr. Longoria is going to make this list somewhere.
Exactly. He's my number 1 pick. The San Antonio Spurs are just phenomenal today. This year again. Tony Parker is still one of the elite point guards per possession basis. So it's basically every time he has the ball, every time he is on the floor, you will notice all his team stats rise up. He's at 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. His player efficiency rate is just out of phenomenal for a point guard in the West. And then my second guy, I will let you guess that again.
Well, this one, you've been screaming his name for a while, and I know it hurt you come All-Star time, but Goran Dragic of the Phoenix Suns, I don't think has escaped this list. Number 4, I mean, even though I don't know if he'd be on everyone's list, but he's definitely on Mr. Mota's. I'm not going to lie. These 2 are easy. After this, it'll be a little more interesting to see if you go conventional, you go off the cuff. You've already picked 2 kind of off the cuffs, right?
Yeah.
So
I have to go with these guys because I love a true point guard. I don't like the guys who are just, they can play 2 and they can play 1. I'm actually going to mention that I would like to, first of all, before we go into also even further into the discussion, I would like to thank Mr. Allen Iverson and congratulations for his retirement yesterday. He's the guy who just transformed the game too. So he's on, if you watched last week's episode, I would have put him in my top Mount Rushmore, but he still doesn't have a ring, and he's not going to get a ring, so I'm not going to put him there. But let's go back.
And this moment brought to you by practice, right?
Exactly. So my guy, Goran Dragic, he's probably developed into a Steve Nash 2.0. He's one of the quickest guy that I've seen up and down the floor. He can make his teammates better, and especially he's the perfect guy for Phoenix right now because all of his guys are running. Gerald Green, all of those guys. So he's a guy that can actually push the momentum.
And Sporting Phil 2.0, Mike Plumlee.
Yeah, exactly.
Miles, sorry.
Yeah. Miles Plumlee. Yeah. So I'll let you name your 2 so we can see who you got on your number 1 and number 2.
Well, number 1 for all those who have seen our recent hangout there on NBA TV. We'll get into more of that later. Mark mentioned Russell Westbrook. I feel he's coming back, so he counts. He was playing. He's got to be on this list. The fact that he is legitimately playing right now in the NBA and he's this talented. Now, There's a lot to be said against him if you want to say he's hurting Durant's career. But to me, pound for pound, what he brings, like for me, it's more than the dunks, more than anything. His ability to just go full tilt, stop on a dime, and pull up for a 20-footer. To me, that's one of the most unstoppable shots a guard has in this league.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I for a guy who has Kevin Durant on his team and he shoots sometimes even more than Kevin Durant,
Oh,
that gives me a
he
problem.
should be facilitating way more. I completely agree.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
we're just talking about talent, and they are technically better, and it's a matchup thing, right?
Yeah.
When they hit Miami, or if they make it that far, I think Westbrook's gonna have a better series than Durant because he
Yeah.
has that better matchup. Him on Chalmers is a much better matchup than Durant on LeBron, right?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
so Westbrook is up there.
So the Westbrook is your number one. Let's be sure. Is your number one point guard without injuries? So actually playing right now, or he's in your top four?
He's in my top 4.
Okay.
If I had to say my number one, I'm actually gonna go. Now he could break any day now, but I'm gonna go Steph Curry.
Okay.
I think he's really risen his game this year. His scoring, his assist numbers. While he doesn't play defense, and everyone knows for a fill player that hurts,
Yeah.
I just think he does so much on the offensive end. He's so fun to watch. His handle's fantastic. His jump shot's beautiful.
Yeah.
He makes basketball fun. You know.
Yeah, he actually is in my top. He's actually in my top four. He's probably my number one pick of the top point guard in the league. I just love how he plays and makes everything he look just so easy. He's actually, I have a friend who calls him PlayStation Curry, because he looks like a guy in a video game. He makes any basket however you want it, and it's just phenomenal. And just look at his stats against the New York Knicks. It hurts to see that again, that he's
Well, not
dropping.
gonna lie, everyone's stats are a little inflated against the Knicks, but
Yeah, in a Madison Square Garden.
but no, I will agree with you. I think Steph Curry, again, for me, would be in that number 1, 2 spot in the league. I just think if he played a little bit of defense, I think it would be hands down. But I think that's the one little knock against him. But I completely agree, and that's a good point, what you said about kind of the video game appeal, because I have this theory that any player who is a superstar, one of the things you always notice about him is he has the ability to make the game look easy, to slow it down, and to make it look like he's not really trying, but is incredibly efficient.
Yep.
And I think he's that guy. Like when you watch other players run, they're running, sweating, like closing their eyes, gripping. But this guy's just chill the whole way down. But he can move at lightning speed. And the thing is,
Ty Lawson, just watch him after every quarter. He looks like Patrick Ewing in the fourth quarter. So after,
I would have hated to be a towel boy back in the Knicks days. That would have been disgusting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we each have named 2. So I got my Westbrook and my Curry.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to throw a little bit of a weird one at you, because that's generally what I do when it comes to teams.
Okay.
Right now, you know what?
Please don't say the one in my head right now. But go ahead. I'm pretty sure.
Because in my mind, there's 2 guys. I'm going to say one guy because we're talking right now. A little later, we're going to talk about future prospects. But right now, who's balling out of control? I think it's going to say Mr. Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors. He's just been killing it, and he plays defense. Any guy who plays defense gains a lot of points. For me, it was tough. It was kind of him and John Wall. John Wall has been playing really well of late, but it's just something about Lowry. I feel he has a little less to work with, so he just kind of has to take it on his shoulders a little more. And I just feel Lowry is that guy. I like guys who play both sides of the ball. But for my 4th guy, if I really had to finish it, now it really hurt that Drew Holiday went down, because I actually did like him, but again, he's not top there. But
So you're gonna tell me that you're gonna take a guy from the East and put
I
him
am,
at the top?
because
Oh my God.
because I think overall he's playing that well. And my 4th, I hate to say it, but in truth, is Chris Paul. He's a dominant player, and he's healthy, and there's no way he can be off a top 4 list.
There's no. Okay. All right.
He plays more deep. Lowry plays defense. Dragic doesn't. This is why he makes the team.
What? No.
You had said
That,
Bledsoe with almost identical stats. I would have
yeah,
maybe given it to you. I have nothing against Dragic, but I'm just saying when you're really getting up there in that almost like Mount Rushmore-ish of point guards,
yeah.
this is essentially what we're doing. But like I just feel you have to be a complete player, and I feel Westbrook is a complete two-way player. So is Paul. So is Lowry. And Steph Curry is so dominant on the offensive side and smart enough on the defensive side. They don't really need to worry about it too bad. Like when you talk about guys like Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving, I was thinking of them, but I'm like, they're Swiss cheese. Like Damian Lillard's terrible on defense, and I would rather have Stephen Curry every time.
I
I
would actually, my way of picking a point guard is someone who actually makes his team better. He's a guy who maybe needs to score, maybe needs to play
and who on
defense.
my list did not do that?
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry,
Yeah.
considering he's taking this team, which has no
It's
into the
not.
play.
It's not only him. You have to give that to the Raptors. It's a team effort, and it's
No,
not
for
only
sure
Kyle
they're
Lowry.
playing well, but he is their best player this year. I'm sorry, it's not DeMar, it's him.
Yeah, he probably deserved it better, more than DeMar DeRozan to go to the All-Star weekend. That I give it to you. But he is. I personally believe that there's no way that an Eastern Conference point guard can make the top four list. I just don't. Most of the guys that play in the Eastern Conference, they're not real point guards, and also the level of the Eastern Conference is not that high. And just watch a game between the East and the West, and you will notice that the point guard is very essential. But in the West, but in the East, you'll see that the 2 and 3 position are actually more essential.
More wing
But
players.
let's move on. Mine is someone that you actually mentioned right now. My number 4 is Damian Lillard. This guy is just
But he
ice
can't
cold.
play defense. How does he make your list?
He just makes his team better. You have to agree that without him, the Blazers wouldn't be in the situation they are in right now.
Sure, absolutely. But the thing is, take away any team's top point guard, it's going to hurt. But like if we were talking about their best player, that's an argument. If we're talking about top 10 point guard, that's an argument. But you're passing over a lot of good point guards for Damian Lillard. I like the guy too. He's got a lot of good skills, but anytime you're known around the league as a favorable matchup to go against, that hurts.
Yeah. But hey, you must agree that for a guy who is in the second year in the league, he's
Oh, he's
got
balling
some
for sure.
ice cold water in his veins. He's the guy who just on crunch time, he can be in 10 years. In 5 years, I would tell you he's going to be as reliable as Kobe in the clutch. And I'm telling you, the guy got confidence, but let's hope he doesn't sign again with Adidas so he doesn't break his knee again, because you know about the Adidas curse.
Yeah. Okay, so who's your number 4?
So Damian Lillard. So I have Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, Dragic, and Tony Parker.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll give you the Tony because I think that's well deserved. He could be tossed up with Kyle Lowry, and on a lot of ends, I see where Tony gets the advantage. But to me, I always have that defensive focus. Dragic actually brings me into an interesting segue because I want to actually bring this up. When we're talking about point guards in a point guard league, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced it's more of a lead guard league. I'm convinced that most of these point guards we're talking about aren't really point guards, and your man Dragic is actually a guy who I have an issue with that way. I think he's a 2 in a point guard's body. He plays much better off the ball. He'll admit it. Like that's why he plays so well with Bledsoe.
That's because he's extremely smart without the ball, and you know how hard it is to play. The smartest guy without the ball, everybody in the NBA would tell you that's Ray Allen. It's because he knows how to position himself, and for a point guard to understand, exactly, for a point guard to understand how other players are moving without the ball, that is a very high and very rare talent.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a high IQ, considering his mediocre athleticism, we'll call it. He's got to have a high IQ, and in a lot of ways, the Steve Nash comparisons are there. I don't think he's quite the passer Steve Nash is, to be honest, or the shooter. I think he has a lot of talent, but I think Steve Nash had a bit of above him. But the main question is, when we're talking about actual point guards, like to me, this is where your guys like Chris Pauls and Rondos really separate themselves from the lead guards. Like these are guys who primarily say my defense, my ability to set up my team are my calling card. If I can shoot, it's a bonus,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think these guys are a dying breed. But you know what? At the end of the day, they make your other teams better. Because we talk about guys like Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook. And what's the one knock everyone has on them besides sometimes their defense? It's that they don't know how to involve players. I mean, you were just talking about Allen Iverson. I've been saying that for a long time. I don't want my best player to be a scoring point guard, or my top scorer to be a point guard. Because when that happens, I don't think it's a recipe for success. And unfortunately, I view that as a bit why they didn't have the success. I know Eric Snow was their point guard, and they tried to play Iverson off the ball. But Iverson was so ball dominant that it almost didn't matter. Eric Snow was almost more there for the defensive side to pick up the twos, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's really a point guard. Like true point guards are really rare. Like I see Russell Westbrook as a two who plays point guard.
Yeah, no, but he admitted it when he came out of UCLA. He came in as a number 2, and the coach told him that he has to play number 1 because there was no other person to do it, and he has the advantage. If he plays smart, he has the advantage to. If he plays like a true point guard, he has an advantage of height, of speed, of quickness.
Well, it's funny, right? Because people knock him not being a point guard, but he still gets you eight assists a game sometimes, you know. Yeah. So it's like that's really not bad for a guy who's also scoring 20-something points. But when we're looking at actual point guards, now there's one name because what I like doing is looking forward to players. Now, obviously, we're not going to talk to potential draftees because that's going to be a different show. But looking forward, right, in terms of literal classic point guards, who do you think in this league is better? I'm going to put this name out there, Michael Carter-Williams. I think he is one of the future real stars of the point guard position, and I looked for him to surpass guys like Kyrie and Lillard because of his ability to defend, steal, assist at a high level. I think his jump shot will come. He just has poise to me. So, do you think that like this transition to scoring guards is really happening, or do you think we're kind of just going to see a nice mishmash of both?
I think the league is moving more into a scoring point guard, just because you need that guy. You need your first option, the guy who brings up the ball, has to have the ability to, while the defense is setting up, has to have the ability to break away and just score the basket and create his own shot. That's what's happening in the NBA right now. If you look at Miami, sometimes it's not even Mario Chalmers who's bringing up the ball. It's LeBron. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes it's Dwayne Wade. And the same thing happens with the Lakers. It's Kobe. Or with the Blazers, sometimes it's Nicholas Batum, because these are guys that know how to dribble the ball and they can create their own shot. So
I think on top of that, it sets up the other three-point shooters, because on all three examples you gave, the other players, like, Chalmers, Ray Allen, they're a great three-point shooter. So having LeBron bring it up and be able to space to create those driving lanes for a guy like LeBron. So what you're almost saying is the ability to drive more than shoot for a point guard.
Yeah, I see more guys like learning from Russell Westbrook. I think he has a tremendous talent of finding his way to the basket, just like Tony Parker. Although they have two different styles of getting into the basket. One is more aggressive, one is more finesse. But I must say that the league is leaning, if you look at the next top prospects when it comes to point guards, they're looking more into guys who actually can score. If he can set up and play off the ball, or if he can make assists, that's a plus. Because if you look like Tyler Ennis, who in Syracuse, he's a scoring point guard. And he's a top prospect in the next year.
Well, it's also tough to judge sometimes with college ball that way, right? Because quite often you're the star and you need to take that scoring role. Yeah. Whereas you maybe want to pass a little more. Like when you look at assist numbers, they're generally not that high in college. Yeah. Anyways, but when you go to the NBA and you're one of many stars, you have the greater ability. Now, when if we're talking about the ability to pass and the ability to get to the rim, why don't you think Rajon Rondo makes more really top lists? is it because of injury that he wouldn't have made like if you said forget about injuries, do you think Rondo could make top four in
Yeah,
your list
yeah,
or
he would make my top four list just because I loved what he did in the past couple of years, and I'm still loving what he does right now. He thinks he's one of the few guys in the NBA that thinks pass first because he knows that he can't shoot. He knows he doesn't have the ability to shoot. But he will think, okay, I'm gonna pass the ball, and he has those big hands who can just cradle the ball and just pass it right away, which not a lot of point guards can have that. And that's my thing. I think Rondo should be in the top four, but right now he's not because he keeps on. It's because of the injury.
yeah. All right. So I guess we'll agree to disagree, but
Yeah.
is it still safe to say that this league is a point guard, lead guard, dominant league, or do you think it's more of a because when we're talking MVPs, right? We're
Hmm.
talking Paul George, still calling it,
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, LeBron James. These are all wing players. So is this league truly a point guard league, a wing player? And in my mind, in 5 years, we're going to be having this conversation about big men because I think
Hmm.
there's a resurgence of them. But now it's between wings and point guards. Who do you think
Yeah.
owns it right now in the NBA?
It's definitely wings. There's no way any point guard can dominates. Just take any wing player. Not I wouldn't say take any all-star wing player and put him on any team. He will still strive. You take any point guard who was on the all-star team and you put him on any team, he will not be as efficient as a wing player. Because right now, the one, two, and three position are very, very mixed.
Hmm.
So and the number two and the number three can actually play the point. So just look at LeBron. Even though he LeBron can play any position, but let's take Paul George. He's a guy also who takes up the ball. So I'm saying that the the most dominant and the future of the NBA for the next 5 years is going to be wing players.
Hmm.
I'm still hopeful to see a little bit of big men in the league because this is getting pretty bad. Because just look at the high school players right now. Most of the tall guys, they want to play on the wing. They want to play outside. They don't. They're starting to not know the fundamentals of
Oh,
playing
this
inside.
hurts me. Come on. Oh, we're going to have to have a show on this. Between Andre Drummond, Anthony Davis, Greg Monroe, I just think there's some DeMarcus Cousins. There are some great big men in the league. And
Yeah,
I think and I think there's still not a learning curve, but I think we're going to definitely have a resurgence in the
I
big
I hope
men.
so. I hope so. I hope so.
All right, so this has been our point guard recap. Yeah, you guys can always let us know who you guys think is your top four, your maybe around Mount Rushmore of point guardism. You can catch us on Facebook and read us there on Twitter and on hoopslounge.com. Obviously, now, Mr. Mota, is there anything you want people to look out for in the upcoming week?
Just look out for all of our updates. We're actually doing a lot of changes on the website end, and we're going to be doing some interesting articles about the 3-on-3 basketball. I've been meeting with a lot of people from FIBA here in Switzerland, so it's getting a lot of fun. Um, but I have one question to you, Phil, before we leave to wrap up the show.
Hmm.
What was your top moment of Allen Iverson?
Allen Iverson.
Your favorite moment,
Um,
off or on the court, regardless.
that crossover corner three, right hand side against, I want to say
Tyronn Lue.
Kobe. I'm forgetting the name.
Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, against Tyronn Lue and the practice interview. That is 1-1. I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I
I was
agree.
like, practice. I'm winning the games. I'm the star. I'm
My,
like, you know what? He said whatever what other people have wanted to say, right?
yeah,
Because like it's funny. Like if you're a star player, do you need? But it's showing an example. Anyways, this is an idea for another show. But Allen Iverson, one of the most talented pound for pound guys,
yeah.
and we're gonna hear a bit about him with Mark. I can't wait to get into it next week because we can recap our whole visit to 'cause Mark and I were out on the Hangout on NBA TV Canada. So we've posted a few of those links on our Facebook page, so you can check those out to check the interviews. But we're gonna have a nice little roundtable discussion. Got to meet, like we said, the Junkyard Dog, Jerome Williams, really funny guy. and Mark's doing his reportage over there right now, so covering the Youngins game with Justin Jackson as one of the players, as well as the Toronto Golden State game. So actually, that's a great example of we can bring him back into the point guard conversation. See if he's going to get a chance to see Kyle Lowry versus Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And yeah, I'll give a little shout out to Pure Hoops for giving us these awesome T-shirts. If you saw in the videos, we're wearing some of them. So love the merch, and always love to show the basketball love of everyone in Canada, North America, Europe, everywhere. Can't call me NA Sporting Phil forever. I'm getting the global reach. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching. Myself, Phil, and Mr. Mota. Mr. Mota, thank you again for another fantastic show. And we'll catch you guys all next time on the lounge.
See you.